Hi guys, we're live, and today I will be doing a graveyard cycle review for you. Well, I'm going to be looking at replays that I just played in a grand challenge. I think we're going to be looking over some pretty popular decks in the meta right now, like RG Lightning. I basically played a what do you call it? A mirror deck of Graveyard Cycle, and we can also take a look at one of these Golem decks. I'm not sure which one is better. I kind of want to take a look at this French one that a lot of people have been playing, so we'll probably take a look at this one. Go ahead and open up this chest here really fast. I am getting really close to getting my rares maxed. That's what I'm kind of looking forward to. 23 Hog Riders. Feels good, man. Rocket. It doesn't really matter what else I get from this chest. Oh, the Goblin Gang. Actually, it's kind of big. So let's go ahead and kind of level this up to 9. And now we can start using this. Well, we can start talking about this. Hog Rider's almost there. Ice Golem. Okay. So here's the deck in question. It's a variation on Pompeo's Graveyard Cycle that he brought to steal the crown. I believe his version kind of has a Ice Golem here, and yeah, I think this is actually it. This is the deck. After playing this deck for a while, I've been starting to favor the Knight in this deck, just because the Knight has offensive capabilities. It makes the deck a little bit more expensive at 3.9 elixir, but the point of this deck is not really to it's a graveyard cycle, but the point is to not throw all of your cards down hoping to get to one card. The point is to play very slowly and capitalize on people's mistakes. That's what I've been learning about playing graveyard in general. You definitely want to just take your time. Like all you really need is one good graveyard push, one mistake at the right time to capitalize on your opponent. Your opponent can like mess up multiple times in the game, but depending on where you are at in your own cycle, you probably can't punish them. So you just have to take it slow. Yeah. So let's go ahead and go into a game. I think this was my 12th win. This was my 11th. Lost here to a minor poison executioner. But let's take a look at this golem game here. So this golem deck that this guy named Doomed is running is a actually. I think I want to take a look at this JJ guy. I think he's a little bit more highly ranked in terms of trophies and cards won. I think this was probably an easy match overall. I just want to say right here that if you guys want a good golem deck, this is definitely one. This is a French golem deck that surfaced during ESWC. This one is a interesting like minor golem variation, kind of odd, but we'll go ahead and watch this one. So to start things off, I just want to say like, what are the strengths of this deck? Well, the strength is that it has insane defensive capabilities. Insane with Electro Wizard, with Knight, with Bowler, with Inferno Tower, with Poison. You can stop almost any push as long as you set up correctly. Weaknesses, probably in that it's because it costs so much to get going. Like you need a unit to tank for graveyard. You need the graveyard. You need the poison. You might need log. You might need a whole bunch of stuff. It can put you off cycle if you don't know how to just manage your elixir in general. Sometimes you'll find yourself in a position to capitalize on them. But what happens is you just don't have enough elixir. So when you do play a card and when you shouldn't, like when you play a card when you shouldn't, you just go to 0 elixir and you can't do anything. So you definitely have to play around that. Go ahead and ×2 through this. So in hands like this, I usually like to what I've been starting to do lately is just sit there and wait. I'll sit there and wait for just like a second or two, and then drop a card. I'm hoping that he'll play something into the same lane as the bowler, like a knight, like a musketeer. If he puts like a pump, then I'll poison. If he puts like a tombstone, then I drop a card, etc. You don't want to put yourself at a disadvantage right from the outset. Okay, so he drops a Mega Minion, drop a Knight, play Electro Wizard. I see the Golem coming down, so I Graveyard right away. This Golem won't really help him during the Graveyard, and what I'm also hoping is that this Electro Wizard is able to get some damage on this Golem as it walks by. So this Knight will probably will die to the tower. I'm hoping to get some amount of damage. This Golem to get damaged by Electro Wizard. I already know that this Electro Wizard is going to die, because once the Golem passes a certain point, he's just going to drop a card, kill out the Electro Wizard. So I Graveyard here in order to force more Elixir out of him, and for him to look away from this Electro Wizard for a second. So I poison here. I only poison because I see him play Tombstone, plus I see him play Archers. What that tells me is that he, like, on top of the Golem that he played with the Mega Minion, he just like spent a lot of Elixir. So me spending poison to get damage on his tower, to take out the Tombstone, to take out the Archers, above all else, won't put me behind. Although there is still a Golem on the map, so my job right now is to neutralize this Golem. I decided to put down the Infernal Tower because the Golem didn't have enough health where I thought that the bowler was going to kill it in time if he backed up this Golem. He does back up the Golem, so I drop an Infernal Tower. The only thing bad about this is that because he played a Golem all the way at the back of the tower, now his Golem is already back in his hand because he dropped more than 4 cards afterwards. So like the worst case scenario for me is he kind of goes like Rambo, and then he drops a Golem at the bridge, and I don't have an Inferno Tower, but that's really risky, and I doubt that he'll do that. Even if he does, like I have some hard hitting cards. Like I have Knight, Minions, an Electro Wizard if I really need it. So it doesn't seem like a good play. He does drop this Golem here. Okay, so I use the Knight as a little mini tank to tank for this bowler, do damage. I Graveyard nothing to force out something from him because I don't want him to lightning my cards. If I Graveyard and he lightnings my defending units, the Graveyard gets a ton of damage on his tower and it probably equalizes. If I don't drop Graveyard and he lightnings, then I lose out on my chance to counterattack, and he kind of gets to my tower. So I'm making like these pretty fast split decisions, hoping that like I don't get punished here. He drops the Tombstone. Tombstone's not really gonna do anything. At 10 Elixir, I just drop Bowler. So like the strength of the Bowler is just that when you play the Bowler into any lane, no one is really gonna be like, yo, totally, I absolutely want to drop my units into a Bowler. So you get a lot of breathing room when you play the Bowler, and you just have to kind of worry about this side. He doesn't play anything on this side, so all of my focus right now is into this one lane. I drop the Knight. Knight walks up. I Graveyard before anything happens, and then I poison. He drops everything onto it. I don't really expect to get damage off of this Graveyard. I expect to just kind of deal with this Golem and then try and recover. He sends out the Miner. I know that he has a Miner from before. I guess the Miner placement because he's been doing the same placement every single game. And now I know that he's over kind of reacted here. So on this, so like this is kind of the position that you want to be with Graveyard. You want to be in a position where you just counter defend just enough, and you have your Graveyard in hand plus a spell like Poison, Fireball. I think that's kind of it, like Zap maybe, so that you can counterattack and do a ton of damage. He drops the Golem here. The Golem is not really going to do anything. Plays the Archers. I immediately poison, and now with the tower, I mean, this Golem is tanking a lot, but it's not going to do too much here. Sends out the Miner. We guess it again, same exact place. The Inferno Tower is doing a lot of work here. He does lightning, overextends again. Now we have an Electro Wizard on offense. Definitely one of the strongest. Like, it's really scary to have an Electro Wizard go from defense to offense because he can take a lot of people off guard. We take the game with a poison and a log. I guess I forgot to mention that too. Electro Wizard is just so good on defense. It's so good from defense to offense. The fact that it can't die to a fireball now, is makes him really good. And the fact that he can stun, the fact that he's an on-demand stun, if you put him behind a tank, like even a mini tank, like a bowler, like a knight, he just a lot of players will just forget that he's kind of there, and then his damage like racks up really fast because his attack speed's pretty high, and because he can stay alive and like divert attention away from himself with his stun. So you want to definitely use this guy. You don't really want to be playing Electro Wizard like nakedly. You want to use him as defense, but sometimes you have to. Okay. All right. So the next game I kind of want to go into is I matched this guy who was playing essentially like the same deck, except he's running Zap, and also in this game, I throw away 3 elixir in the early game because I have a bad cycle and he does not. So what you're going to see in this game is that I'm going to be behind in the early game because of the cycle, and then you're going to see that. Because I know how to just cycle my cards better, and I know how to, I know what units I want to use to defend his pushes. I eventually come back into the game and I just take his tower pretty convincingly. I think this game is actually really good to go ahead and just get into. This one will be graveyard versus graveyard. So you see, like my hand, I have minions, I have poison, I have Inferno Tower, I have log. Not very good. No matter what he puts down, any card that I play will probably be inefficient. Like he drops a knight at the back. Like what am I going to play? A minion, it will probably die. So what I do is I drop minions at the back. They send out, then he drops a bowler, and then this, because we're also playing mirror decks, he gets into a much better place in his card cycle. So we're gonna ×2 through this here. If anything interesting comes up, I'll try and explain it in Paint. Okay, so remember, basically we're behind 3 elixir. We're behind 3 elixir, we're behind in cycle. We drop a minion, right? Like minion trades into knight for free. His knight trades into my knight trades into his bowler, and then he'll have graveyard and I won't have anything because he's on my side of the map. I'm forced to drop Electro Wizard. He plays Inferno, gets a lot of us are free. This Inferno was kind of a big deal for him, but he has the minions. I don't have Electro Wizard. I'm hesitant to play minions because of graveyard, so I have to do some quick thinking over here. I drop the minions and I have to drop a knight, and just like that, from off of the early game, I'm behind about 750 damage right off the bat. 730 damage. So now the question is, like, how do I come back from this? After seeing all of his cards, after seeing basically that we're running the same deck, how do you come back after having a bad cycle, right? How do you come back from taking basically two plus poisons worth of damage in the early game? Well, my answer is play safe. Play safe, react to him, defend graveyards correctly. We're gonna see that he doesn't defend my graveyards correctly, and he also over defends using Inferno Tower. But we'll kind of see what that means here. So he drops Electro Wizard, I drop my Electro Wizard, we kind of trade. I'm gonna put this on 1 now. I see the knight, I drop a bowler. I don't really expect this bowler to get anywhere, Like if you take a look at my hand, I don't have minions. In order to get to minions, I would need to play a card, which puts me over the limit. If you wanted to, you could just drop minions and everything will kind of go bye bye. Instead, what he does, importantly, he drops the Inferno Tower. So the Inferno Tower is a good response to the bowler. The thing is that for me, like I know that this Inferno isn't really going to help him when it comes to graveyard. So I tried to take initiative back into this game by dropping a Naked Graveyard and let's see. I mean, my hand only has Naked Graveyard. I drop a Naked Graveyard and I drop Poison. He knows that he cannot play minions. I know that he cannot play minions. What else can he play? Well, he can play bowler. He can play knight. His knight was just played, or he can play his Electro Wizard. But I want Electro Wizard or I want bowler out of his hand, and I got his bowler because he didn't have Electro Wizard in his hand. So what happens here is that because like bowler is not a very good response to graveyard, it has a slow attack speed, it has a lot of health, which makes it survive it. But the RNG of graveyard will help me deal damage to him. Like sometimes the graveyard will just spawn over here, the bowler can't reach it, deals a lot of damage. Oh, this Inferno Tower is kind of helping. So, let's see. I want to take. There a way to copy this screen? Okay, perfect. That's actually really cool. Okay. So, let's kind of talk about graveyard defense here. We know that in his hand he has graveyard. He has poison, right? We just graveyarded and poisoned, and we're behind on tower damage. So how do we defend this, right? We have to like conceptualize what our defense is, what is the best way to set it up, and how do we like take as little damage as possible while defending. I know that the one thing I want is my knight. I want my knight to. Oh, I can't spell. That's a G. That's a G. So I want my knight somewhere within this vicinity because that's where he's gonna graveyard. So if he graveyards there, I can drop a knight, easy peasy. I take very minimal damage. I want to be using my minions. I want to be using my Electro Wizard. I want to be using my bowler within this pocket. Why this pocket? Because it's outside of poison and it deals with the front line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delegate knight plus log to graveyard defense. And then I'm going to delegate minion, Electro Wizard, bowler, Inferno, whichever one is in my hand, to defending the front, right? Once I defend that, if I defend it well enough, then I can counterattack with graveyard. But the difference between me and this guy throughout the game is that when it comes to defending graveyard, when it comes to baiting out each other's cards, I just do it better because I'm always defending with knight. He's always defending with bowler, and I always have units to counterattack. So let's go ahead and go back and keep watching it, see what happens. So I drop knight because I know he's going to graveyard. I see minions and I see bowler. It's within the poison, which is, kind of bad of me. I put it one tile inside. I use the log and I use the knight. I take what, 200? I basically take only poison damage. And now the game, if you see, we're closing the gap after that early game. So I graveyard knowing that he doesn't have minions because he just played minions. He can have bowler back in his hand because he played bowler at the back. But so the graveyard here is to just me to put pressure back on him after he attacks. I graveyard. I know this will die to the Inferno, and I poison. He drops the bowler again. I think he messed up because he has the knight in his hand. He should be using knight and zap in order to defend, but I think he's really expecting a lot of the bowler, but he still takes a ton of damage. So we set up again here. We drop the knight again. Oh, sorry. Let me bring this back. I want to put this into full screen. We drop Knight Bowler in the front. We have a huge counterattack. We keep our units alive. We are poisoning everything. He's still relying on Bowler to defend. The Knight doesn't really do anything here. And now, like, the tower's kind of in my favor. Oh, it's heavily in my favor. The Electro Wizard locks onto the tower, like we said. Electro Wizard is one of those cards where it just gets forgotten on offense a lot. Or it's really difficult to deal with if you don't have the right cards. Yeah, so we're able to win that off of a bad cycle in the beginning. Bad opening, tower. We took tower damage in a counter matchup. He also has a zap, so he's able to deal with our minions. We have a log. Log is not really that helpful, but yeah. So we just like defended better because we knew that using Knight is better. We know that using Knight on defense is better against Graveyard. Using our other units to defend and then counterattack. Okay, so last replay will be against RG Lightning. This was the game that won me the 12th win. I know this is full screen, but I would assume that you guys want to see the elixir bars here. So he drops an RG at the back, and when you see RG in the back, it means that they want a Lightning. I know that, so I mean I'm sitting at 10 elixir, so I'll drop the Bowler here. The Bowler gets dropped. Excuse the noise out there. They're doing like work. Bowler gets dropped. I'm waiting to see something. He doesn't play anything. I dropped the Electro Wizard. This was my mistake. I know that he's going to Lightning because it's an RG at the back, right? So why am I playing Electro Wizard here? If anything, all I needed was the Knight, and that was it. Maybe minions on the side. So I give him a good Lightning. Bad. You don't want to do that. If you know that he's going to be playing Lightning, don't play your Electro Wizard until you see it, or until it's in the spot where you can't really do anything. I Graveyard here because I do take a Lightning, and I want to reciprocate on the Lightning. We're able to trade out, except I do get ahead because he's forced to zap me too. Thank God, Graveyard. Now I know the tower's at 1445, mine's is at 1700. I know he's playing RG Lightning, and I know that he has minions. I know he has RG. I know he has a Furnace. Sitting at 10. Well, I'm waiting until 10, then I'm going to probably drop the Bowler here. He drops the Furnace a little bit early, but he will get rewarded for that. The Bowler won't reach it, and he'll get one hit. Yep. Now I'm going to build up pushes. I'm in a super awkward spot, as you guys know. If I drop Electro Wizard, like you just can't drop Electro Wizard here. If you drop Electro Wizard here, it gets Lightning. So like, what do I do then? I'm sort of put in a position where I'm forced to poison instead. So I'm sitting at 10. I'm just gonna poison, and he places the RG kind of unexpectedly. He places the RG. He doesn't have enough Lightnings, and he kind of panics and places the minions. I go a little bit aggressive here, and I drop the E-Wiz. This is a really good Musketeer and Log. Cleans up my push. I do manage to hit the tower, making it, you know, it's not a bad trade. I believe I drop a Knight here. Yep, drop the Knight here. There goes the Furnace again. I go into a Graveyard after defending, after he puts Elixir into his Furnace. That Furnace isn't really going to help him in Graveyard. So I go in and counterattack. The Knight will walk toward the Furnace. He plays a Scar me. I didn't know he had Scar me, so I drop Poison. It clears. He plays into the Poison even harder with the minions, and now the game is pretty much all but sealed. All I have to do is defend for 40 seconds. I see the Muskie. I drop a Bowler pretty up front because I was expecting something like a blitz on him. Okay, now the Otis is up to me to defend. I drop everything at the bridge. I don't want him to get anything close to a value Lightning. I poison the tower out, and I poison the Muskie out. 18 seconds left. Like, what can he do? I think all we do here is just drop the bowler. He tries to get back to the RG, but it's not enough. 2, 1, game. So the one mistake that we made that game was with the E-Wiz in the early game. You can say I don't know if he has fire, lightning, but that argument kind of doesn't really hold up because everybody who's running RG right now is running lightning. And if they play RG at the back, it means they have enough elixir once it reaches the bridge to lightning. So playing Electro Wizard was definitely my fault. Okay. Yeah, so this deck is definitely like super good in the meta right now. Graveyard is really strong. This is one example of Graveyard Cycle. Another example of Graveyard Cycle that's been kind of growing in popularity is like this Skeleton Archer Furnace variation. But I feel like this one overall is a little bit safer against things like Lava Hound, things like X-Bow that you're seeing a ton. And I think that if you really do just take the time to learn how to push with Graveyard, that this deck would be great. This deck can definitely be used on ladder, so long as your graveyard is up to level. If your graveyard is like, I don't really know specific levels, but I assume like a level 3 graveyard would be fine. Level 2 maybe a lower trophy. Everything else here I think is pretty good. I know that there are 3 legendaries here, kind of makes it difficult. You can run Zap in this spot here. Your deck does have answers to bait. Like you can play Bowler for Goblin Barrel, you can use Zap. Maybe you can use Electro Wizard Zap. So if you don't have the log, you can definitely run Zap here. If you don't have the Electro Wizard, you can also play Musketeer here. Musketeer is perfectly fine, or even Dark Goblin. Why Dark Goblin? I usually say that you don't really want to be running Dark Goblin unless you have another loggable target. But in this deck, you do. You do have a loggable target, graveyard. Everybody will probably be using their grave. If they use their log on your Dark Goblin, then they can't log your graveyard. So, you know, there are a lot of variations for this deck if you don't have the certain cards. Right now, I just kind of prefer this variation. However, I find it to be very just overall strong. Okay. If you guys like this, just comment, like, subscribe below. And I know I haven't been posting videos recently. I have just finished 2 midterms, and my busy week is kind of over. So I'll be getting back onto the YouTube grind, and we'll be pumping out a lot more videos for you guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.